We only have 40 minutes today, and I want to make sure that we get plenty of work in. So my name is Sarah, and we're going to do just a little combination yoga Pilates. So all you need is a mat and some space. Um, if you would like to unmute yourself to give any comments or feedback or whatever, you are welcome to do so on your own device at any time. If you can't hear me or anything like that happens, feel free to let me know just so that we're all on the same page, and let's get going. So I am, yeah, you should be able to see me. Okay, so go ahead and find a comfortable seated position. So legs can be crossed, legs can be out long in front, wherever you're feeling good today. And we're just going to take a few moments here just to get started by focusing in on your breathing, focusing in on how you're feeling today. Just, recentering at this lunchtime hour, giving yourself a couple of minutes to relax. So starting off by just taking a couple of deep breaths wherever you are. And allowing, as you inhale and exhale, to notice how you're feeling, starting maybe from the top of your head, moving down through the muscles in your face and your jaw, your shoulders, arms, down through the torso, through the legs. Notice the fingers and the toes. Find any points of tension here. So sometimes when I get stressed, I tend to tighten my jaw, my teeth start to hurt. I have to remind myself to relax the muscles in my face and my jaw. Maybe for you, it's the shoulders, maybe the fingers and toes. With each exhale here, I want you to think about relaxing any of those points of tension that you found. And from here, I want to start a little bit of movement just in the shoulders. So we're going to move the shoulders with the pace of the breath. As you inhale, we're going to pull the shoulders up towards the ears. And then as you exhale, we're going to allow them to relax a little bit more deeply than before. So just with the pace of your breath, big inhales to pull the shoulders up, exhales to relax them down. Maybe they move in little circles, maybe they move in a straight line. If you're finding circles, maybe changing that direction here, taking about 3 more nice deep breaths. After that third nice deep breath, allowing those shoulders to relax down. All right, from here, we're going to start to get the spine moving. So if those legs are long, go ahead and bring them crossed in, still comfortable. So if they need to be a little bit wider apart to be comfortable, maybe they're a little bit closer together. I want you to find a nice inhale for a long spine right in center. So lengthening out from the top of the head all the way up towards that ceiling. With your exhale, we're going to find a spinal twist to the right. So I want you to take that left hand, bring it to the outside of that right leg. Take that right hand, bring it behind. Nice deep spinal twist here. We're going to spend about 2 breaths here, finding your next inhale to find a little bit more length. Exhale a little bit deeper into that stretch. One more time on this side. Inhale for a little bit more length, and then exhale for a little bit deeper of a stretch. With that next inhale, we're going to move through center. Big inhale, long spine in center, and then over to that other side. Opposite hand comes to the outside of that knee. That left hand comes around behind. Again, 2 nice deep breaths here. Inhale for a little bit more length through the spine. Exhale to sink a little bit deeper in. One more breath here. Inhale a little bit longer. Exhale to sink a little bit deeper. From here, we're going to take a couple side to side with the pace of your breath. So with each inhale coming through center and then exhaling to either side. So maybe you keep it nice and slow. Maybe that feels good for you today. Or maybe you move it a little bit faster than we were before, finding just a short twist in either direction. All right, give me two more nice deep breaths, one more time in each direction here. When you finish that second deep breath, bring it right back to center, finding that long spine, taking a second to think about posture, allowing again you to lengthen through the spine at the top of the head, pulling the shoulder blades just slightly together in the back, relaxing the shoulders down, taking a moment to recenter and re-relax. So maybe if you found that tension again, taking that extra exhale to find that relaxation. We're gonna find a different spinal range of motion here. So I want you to take those hands, bring them to the outside of your knees. So we're going to use those for a little bit of support. We're going to find our seated cat and cow next. So with our inhales, we're going to press the chest forward, lift the chin up, lengthen through the spine. With that exhale, you're going to put pressure through those hands. We're going to round out the spine towards that back wall, tuck the chin in towards the chest. Same thing as our twists here, flowing with your breath. So with each inhale coming forward, and then with each exhale, rounding out towards that back wall. A little pressure through the hands on the knees. Again, a couple of breaths here, moving at your own pace. So maybe you move a little bit faster than I do. Maybe you move a little bit slower than I do. That's okay. Right. From here, two more nice deep breaths. So you're going to go two more times in each direction. Same thing when you finish that last deep breath, coming back to center. Okay, so once you reach center, we're going to find a couple of stretches to prepare for our saw. So bringing our little bit of Pilates in. So I want you to take that right leg and we're going to lengthen it out long, maybe a little bit wider than your mat if you're facing the long edge of one of your mats. That left foot is going to stay in, so the sole of the foot on that inner thigh. We're going to start with just a stretch here. So I want you to inhale, find that long spine. We're going to turn the torso to face that long leg and then keeping our long spine hinge forward at the hips, finding a stretch through the hamstring. With that next exhale, round out the spine, open up those shoulders, bring the fingertips down towards the toes. All right, so we're going to spend just a moment in here, and then we're going to transfer to a little spinal twist to start our saw off. So taking one more nice deep breath here for that inhale, maybe coming halfway up, and then on that next exhale, folding a little bit deeper into that stretch. Okay, so if you haven't done any Pilates next, this is about half of a saw without our spinal twist. If you are familiar with Pilates, you'll know where I'm going with this. So we're on our right leg long here. We're gonna take that left hand and bring it to the outside of that leg. So mine reaches about my foot. If yours only reaches mid-calf, that's totally fine. We're gonna take our right hand and we're gonna open it up into a nice spinal twist here, a little pressure through the hand on the leg. And then I want you to exhale, bring that right hand back down. We're going to do that twice more from this position. We're going to inhale to lengthen, open up, little spinal twist. And then exhale to bring it back down. And we're going to find this one more time. Inhale, open up. And exhale, bring it back down. So we're going to find one more stretch here before we move to that other side. Take those right fingertips down towards those toes. Take that left arm, bring it up over top for a lateral stretch. Finding a little bit of extra length from those left fingertips down to that left hip in contact with the mat. And then with that exhale, go ahead and bring that left hand back down towards those toes. And then an inhale to find a little bit of length here, coming back up to center. All right, so taking a second for your spine to reset here, we're just gonna switch those legs. So taking that left leg out long, folding that right foot in. Same thing on that other side. We're gonna start with just a stretch. So inhale for our long spine, turn the torso to face that foot, keeping our long spine hinged forward at the hips. And then with that next exhale, round out that spine, open up those shoulders, allow for that little bit deeper of a stretch here. Taking one more nice deep breath. Again, maybe you come halfway up with your inhale and then exhale to fold a little bit deeper. From here, we're going to move to that half saw on this side. So you're going to take your right hand, bring it to the outside of that left leg, and then we're going to open up through that spine. Big inhale to find that twist. Exhale to bring it back down to center. Same as that right side, we're going to do this twice more. Big inhale to open up into our twist. Exhale to bring it back down to center. One more time on this side. Inhale, open up our twist. Exhale back down. And then we're going to find that lateral stretch on this side. So taking those left fingertips out to those left toes, right arm up over top, finding that little bit of length here from those right fingertips down to that right hip in contact with the mat. Exhale to bring that right hand back down towards those toes, and then inhale to roll it up back to center. Okay, so that spinal twist that we found on either side is going to be the end position of our saw. We're going to move side to side. So I want you to take those feet both out long, again, about 2 inches maybe wider than the short edge of that mat. So it doesn't have to be a super wide straddle. We're going to take the arms out long in front of us, about pointing towards those toes, maybe a little bit wider. And then we're just going to move side to side, hinge at the hips, and open up through the spine. So let's start in that rightward direction. We're going to take that left hand over towards that right toes. We're going to hinge at the hips, bringing that hand to the outside of the leg. Take a second to open up through the spine, and then coming back up to center. Rotate in that other direction. So moving side to side here, hinging forward, taking a second to open up, and then coming back through center. We're going to move 3 more times in each direction. So keeping it going kind of at your own pace. Maybe that spinal twist feels good. Maybe you need a slight bend in those knees. Anything there that feels right for you today? Making sure that each time you come through center, we're finding that long spine. So not allowing that low back to round out as you come through center. Trying to keep those arms nice and long as you come through center. So finding a little bit of tension on those shoulders. Let's find one more time in each direction here. So finishing out on that left side. And then when you get back to center, just allowing those arms and shoulders to relax. Maybe you bend at those knees a little bit. Maybe you roll the shoulders out a little bit. Whatever feels good here for a moment. I'm going to turn sideways. If you're already facing your mat, feel free to stay facing in this direction. But just so you guys can see where I'm going, we're going to find a couple of roll-ups. So you've got some options here. I'm going to use bent knees. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can find long legs. So our goal here is to make our downward motion just as slow and controlled as our upward motion. If you haven't done a whole ton of roll-ups, maybe you use a little momentum through the arms to get you back up to seated. But every time we're in this seated position, I want you to have a long spine. So once again, not allowing that low back to round out towards that opposite wall, but keeping it long, keeping up on those tailbones. So like I said, slow and controlled on the way down. We're going to point those fingertips forward. With that inhale, I want you to roll down vertebrae by vertebrae, really resisting gravity here as slow as you can. Maybe yours is a little slower, a little faster than mine. That's okay. When you get to the bottom, we're going to circle those arms around overhead if you've got that space. And then with our exhale, we're going to roll it back up. So again, if you can use that control without using momentum to roll up to that long spine, that's awesome. If you need a little momentum, that is also totally fine. So when you reach the bottom, just moving a little bit more swiftly to use those arms to get you up nice and tall. If you need to put your feet under a couch or something like that for a little extra support, again, totally fine. Do what works for you today. We're inhaling on our way down and exhaling on our way back up. I want you to keep moving. We're going to do 5 more total here. Focusing in on your breath too here. So taking nice deep breaths, allowing that exhale to kind of pull you up off of the mat. right? I'm at 3 of those roll-ups of our 5, so I've got 2 more. When you finish your 5, I want you to roll it all the way down to the mat and then pull those knees into the chest. So once you reach that position, so if you're finishing out your last couple reps, keep going. Um, Once you're back down on the mat with those knees in towards the chest, maybe giving that low back just a little bit of a massage, rocking side to side or in little circles, just giving it a second of a little bit of break here, a little bit of relaxation, especially if you spend most of your day seated. You know, I don't have a fancy standing desk at home, unfortunately, so a lot of my day in a not super ergonomically friendly chair, giving my back a little bit of time to recover here. All right, we're gonna move to 2 quick core exercises, a little bit more Pilates here. So we're gonna start with our single leg stretch. So I want you to keep that right leg pulled in towards the chest, so knee bent right where you are. That left leg is going to determine the difficulty of this exercise. The lower towards the floor that you extend it, the more difficult this will be. The higher towards the ceiling you extend it, the easier this is going to be. So kind of choose where you're at, what level you're at, depending on how much Pilates you've done before. And then from here, I want both legs to meet out long. The head and shoulders can stay down on the mat, again, for a little bit lower of a modification. We're gonna take that right leg out to meet that left leg. So both should be long for a moment, and then we're gonna pull that opposite leg in switching. So it's kind of a modification on a bicycle, if you've done a bicycle before. But the important part of this is getting both legs long. So it's not just a switch side to side, but we've got that brief little pause with both legs long, a little extra tension on the core. Don't forget to breathe here. And taking your time. The slower and more controlled this is, the more difficult it's going to be. So you don't have to move super fast for an effective core exercise. Right here, I want you to give me 4 more total switches, 2 more on each side. So those feet should meet out long 4 more times. Nice job, you guys. When you finish those 4, go ahead, go back to that starting position, pull both those knees into the chest. Let the head and shoulders relax onto that mat if they were floating up. All right, so we're gonna do one more quick stretch here, well, stretch and core exercise here before we change it up a little bit. So we're gonna take that right leg this time up towards the ceiling. That left leg again is gonna determine our difficulty here. It is gonna come out long, again, towards the floor a little bit harder, towards the ceiling a little bit easier. So those legs don't have to be straight. You can have a slight bend in them depending on how the hamstrings feel today. We're gonna lift the head and shoulders up off of the mat, and then I want you to grab both of those arms as close towards the ankles as you can. So if you're down on the thigh, that's totally okay. Maybe you've got the calf, maybe you've got the ankle. We're gonna find 2 pulses and then a scissor switch here. So it's gonna be a pulse bringing the head and shoulders towards the leg, and then another pulse, and then we'll scissor to switch and catch that other leg. So moving at your pace here, we've got a pulse, pulse, and then a switch. Keeping it going, trying to work to bring the head and shoulders a little bit further up off that mat, finding a little stretch through the hamstrings. As always with all core exercises, make sure you're breathing. With all exercises, make sure you're breathing. Nice. We've got 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, pull those knees into the chest. In whatever way works for you, we're gonna make our way to hands and knees. So maybe you roll right over the legs and bring it over top. Maybe you roll your side and come around, whatever works. We're gonna head to hands and knees next. We're gonna move our cat and cow that we did seated to our hands and knees cat and cow, so a more traditional one. For this one, the range of motion with the spine and the breath is going to match up exactly the same. So as you inhale, we're going to drop the belly towards the floor, lift the face towards the ceiling. As you exhale, we're going to round out the spine towards the ceiling and tuck the chin in towards the chest. So again, taking this at your own pace, kind of finding a little bit of a flow back and forth here, finding what feels good. And again, taking a couple minutes for the spine here, moving it through its range of motion, something a little bit different than sitting in a chair. All right, give me 2 more nice deep breaths. So it's twice more in each direction here. Fix my hair so it doesn't pull my headphones out of my ears. So you guys can still hear me. When you finish those 2 breaths, I want you to just come back to neutral. When you find that neutral position, I want you to make sure that you have enough space behind you that we can move back into our plank and our down dog up next. So first thing we're going to do here is going to be a little bit of plank preparation. So we're not going to find any kind of crazy plank holds here today. We're just going to prep the body for moving into a plank so that when we move through our yoga flow in a little bit, we have it already. So this is going to be 4 different parts. We're going to move out into a plank. We're going to find glute extension. We're going to bring it back down, and then we're going to bring it back to our hands and knees. So it's going to be a step out with one foot, nice and controlled. We're going to step out to meet with the other. So you can follow along for this one, or you can just watch. From here, we're going to find a straight leg glute extension on each side. So one leg lifts up, toes pointed towards the ground. Other leg lifts up, toes pointed towards the ground. Those come back down, and then again, nice and controlled, we come back down to hands and knees. So try not to let your knees land too hard. Try not to move too quickly. We're keeping that control. This one, let's start with that other foot. So other leg comes out first. A little bit of control, nice and slow. Bring that opposite leg up. 2 glute extensions. Both of those come back towards the ground. And then again, nice and controlled, we lower those feet. We're going to do 4 more just like that. Make sure you alternate that first foot. First foot comes out, nice and controlled. 2 glute extensions. Bringing it back down. And in, second foot up next. Out nice and long. Glute extensions. And then nice and controlled back in. 2 more here, 1 more on each side. Taking that first foot out into that plank. 2 extensions. Recenter. Come back down. And then 1 more, finishing out with that second side. Taking it out long into our plank. 2 extensions. And then nice and controlled, bring it back down. When you finish those, feel free to sit the hips back, give the wrists a couple of rolls. Maybe you bring it back into a child's pose and give the shoulders a little bit of a break. Just taking a moment to recover from that. We've got 1 more from hands and knees here. And then we are going to, all right, we're going to move to a little bit of yoga next. So our last one from hands and knees that we're going to hit is going to be some hip circles. We're going to hit 5 in each direction on each leg. I want these to still be nice and controlled, but we're just loosening up those hip joints, oiling them up, getting them ready to move a little bit. So from our hands and knees, making sure that the wrists are right under the shoulders, knees are right under the hips. So we're going to start with our right leg. Our first direction of circles is going to have that knee coming back first. It's going to come out and around, and then to the side and down. When we switch directions, we'll just change it up. So it'll come up to the side, around to the back, and then from the back right back down to center. We're going to do 5 in each direction on that first leg, and then we'll switch it to that second leg. So starting out with that right leg, 5 circles, moving back first, around a nice big hip circle and down. So trying to find that full range of motion, trying to keep those shoulders right over the wrists, keep that core nice and strong. When you finish your 5 in that first direction, just changing it up. Instead of moving backwards first, I'm going to move out to the side, around to the back, and down. 5 in that direction, same leg. Like I said, just getting those hips moving here. Something else that gets a little bit tight as you sit a little bit longer. When you finish those 5 in that second direction, I just want you to switch right to that other foot. So same thing, picking a direction to start in, moving 5 circles. And then when you finish the first 5 on that second leg, bringing it in that opposite direction. When you finish that up, if you want to give those wrists another little break, sitting back towards the hips, give them a couple of circles. Taking one more second, and then we're gonna find up next our first down dog of the day. We're gonna find a couple of little flows here coming at us, and then we'll finish out with a little relaxation. So when you're done, taking just a second, let those wrists roll out a little bit, and then let's all meet back in that hands and knees. Keeping it moving, don't want to run out of time in the middle of this. So starting out right here, again, those wrists are right under the shoulders. I want you to step that right foot back, and then we're gonna press those hips up and back, bring the left back to meet it in our first down dog of the day. So maybe those knees have a nice bend if the legs aren't quite warmed up yet. Maybe you pedal out those heels side to side, making sure that the ears are between the biceps, nice little pressure, and then those hips are up and back towards that back wall. From here, I want you to find a nice inhale. We're gonna lengthen a little bit further. So press through those palms, all 10 fingers. Exhale, we're gonna float those shoulders out over the wrists. So here's our plank that we prepared for. Inhale for a little bit more length and strength right here. And then we're gonna exhale to lower down. If you need to drop those knees, feel free. Inhale to press up. We've got a cobra, low cobra, or up dog. So those legs can be up or down off the floor. And then exhale, flip those toes one more time, up and back into our down dog. We're gonna do 3 more of those just like that. So inhale for a little extra length through the spine here. Exhale to float the shoulders out over the wrists, high plank. Inhale for a little extra length. Exhale to lower down. Again, you can drop those knees. Inhale to press up. Up dog, cobra, low cobra. Exhale, flip those toes. Press the hips up and back. 2 more just like that. Taking a second here. Inhale, nice long spine. Exhale, flip the shoulders over the wrists. Inhale, lengthen strength. Exhale, lower down. Inhale to lift that chest up. Nice little stretch through the front side body. Exhale, flip those toes. Press the hips up and back. One more time, just like that. Inhale, a little bit of length. Exhale, flip the shoulders out over the wrists. Inhale for a little bit of length and strength here. Exhale, lower down. And then inhale to press up. And then exhale, meeting back in down dog. From here, we're gonna give those wrists one more tiny little break. Take those knees out wide onto that mat. Keep those feet close together. Sit the hips back into our child's pose. Arms out long in front. Taking a second here to find a couple of deep breaths. Come back to your center. If it feels good for you today, you can move those hands over to the right side of that mat, finding a little bit of length through the left side body. If that doesn't feel quite right, feel free to keep them right in center. And then if you found that right side of that mat, go ahead, walk those hands through center over to the left to again find a little bit more length through that right side body. If you found either of those directions, go ahead, bring those hands back to center. Put a little pressure through all 10 fingers, preparing the body. We're gonna bring it back into our down dog. So lifting those hips, curl the toes, and then press those hips up and back. We've got a down dog here. I just lost my headphones. Okay. So from this down dog, here we go. From this down dog, we are going to take it into our 3-legged dog. Right foot is gonna come up and back. So maybe your foot points towards that back wall. Maybe that foot points a little bit closer towards that ceiling. From here, I want you to bend that bottom knee. We're gonna take that right foot forward in between those hands into our lunge. That back heel is gonna stay up. We're gonna find our balance here. With your next inhale, I want you to sweep those arms up into our crescent lunge. So if you need to readjust those feet, maybe bring them a little bit closer or a little bit further apart, wherever you're comfortable there. Nice bend through that front knee. We're going to challenge those quads a little bit here and find 10 pulses. So we're going to come halfway down and halfway back up. With me here, let's get going on those 10 pulses. We've got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bringing it right back to that crescent lunge. With your next exhale, we're going to bring those hands back down to the mat. I want you to take both hands to the inside of that front right foot, and then we're going to set that back knee down. If you need a little extra padding, if you're on a hard floor like I am and you want to roll that mat up under that knee, feel free. We're going to let the top of that back foot meet the floor. We've got this front foot so that the knee is right over that ankle, so we're not pressing too far forward. From here, we're going to flow forward and backward. So we're going to find this hip flexor stretch right here. So if you need to press a little bit further into it, maybe you bring those elbows down towards the mat. And then from there, we're going to just adjust so that that front foot lengthens. Those right toes come up off the floor. And we're going to find a hamstring stretch. So bending through that back knee, hinging forward at the hips. And then at your pace here, we're just going to flow forward and backward, pressing those hips forward for that hip flexor stretch. And then moving backwards, toes up towards the ceiling for that hamstring stretch. Just a couple of times here. I want you to find one more time in each direction. And then when you finish those last 2 times, we're going to meet forward in that lunge. All right, so those hands, when you get back there, are going to come to the outside of that foot once again. We're going to curl those back toes under, lift that knee, find our nice steady base of support. From here, we're going to start with that left hand. We're going to cartwheel those arms up. I'm going to turn to face so you guys can see me. We're going to cartwheel those arms up into our warrior 2. So that back heel is going to come down. Bringing those arms up into our warrior 2. Back heel comes down. Front knee is still bent. A little more work on that front quad. Fingertips come out long in either direction. Okay, so from here, we're going to reverse our warrior. I want you to flip those front palms. We're going to take that left hand down towards that back leg. Right arm comes up, opening up through the front side body. Exhale to bring it back to center, fingertips long in either direction. And then leading with that right arm, we're cartwheeling back down to the floor. Bring that left heel back up. Little pressure through both palms, all 10 fingers. We're going to bring that right foot back to meet the left in our down dog. All right, we're going to find that flow that we started with here. So inhale for a little bit of length. Exhale, float the shoulders out over the wrists. Inhale, lengthen strength. Exhale, lower down. Inhale to press up. Cobra, low cobra, up dog. Exhale, turn those toes over, back into our down dog. All right, from here, we're just going to move to that opposite leg. So starting off with our 3-legged dog, take that left leg up and back. Again, maybe that foot's a little bit lower. Maybe you got a little more flexibility. You bring it a little bit higher. Slight bend through that bottom knee. We're going to spring that left foot forward in between those hands into our lunge. Once again, back heel stays up. We're going to find that crescent lunge here. So find your stability first and then sweep those arms up. Back heel is up. Nice bend through that front knee. From here, we're going to find those 10 pulses. A little pressure through those quads. With me, here we go. We've got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lengthen back up. Exhale, bring those palms back down to the floor. Bringing both palms to that inside of that left leg, we're going to find our little flow forward and backwards. Set that back knee down. Let the top of that right foot meet the mat. Shifting a little bit further forward into that hip flexor stretch, and then moving once again forward and backward. Those left toes come up this time for that hamstring stretch. Finding that little bit of a flow at your own pace. Taking this time as we just find a nice stretch here to recenter on your breath, thinking about that inhale and exhale. One more time in each direction, and then we're going to meet in that forward low lunge. Taking those hands, once again, that left hand comes around to the outside of that left foot. A little pressure through those palms and all 10 fingers. Curl that back toe under, lift that right knee. Finding our stability, we're gonna come into our warrior two here. So leading with that right arm, we're gonna cartwheel up, we're gonna turn that back heel down, a little bend through that front knee, a little more work in that quad on this side. I want you to flip that front palm. We're gonna reverse our warrior, lifting that front palm up, taking that right hand down towards that right leg. Exhale, bring it back out to center, and then cartwheeling down towards the mat. Bring that right heel back up. Pressure through all 10 fingers in the palms. We're going to take that left foot back to meet the right in our down dog. We've got just one more of those little flows here coming up. Inhale for a little bit more length. Exhale, float those shoulders out over the wrists. Inhale to lengthen and strengthen. Exhale to lower down. Inhale to lift up, up dog. Exhale one more time into that down dog. From here, I want you to go ahead and walk those feet forward to meet the hands. We're gonna meet in our forward fold. So maybe those legs are feeling nice and warmed up here. Maybe you've got a little bit of reach down to the floor. Maybe you still need a slight bend in those knees. Wherever you're at today, again, is totally fine. From here, we're gonna inhale to find a halfway lift. I want you to find a flat spine. I want you to bring those hands either to the shins or right above the knees. And then we're gonna exhale to bring it all the way back down into that forward fold. We're gonna spend another moment in this forward fold. So I want you to think here about letting the head hang down towards the floor. Maybe that opposite hand finds those opposite elbows for a slight ragdoll. Maybe you move side to side. Sometimes I like to alternate lengthening and bending my knees. This time is for you, so making sure you're finding what feels good here. If you found those opposite elbows, go ahead and release down towards the floor. We're gonna find one more halfway lift. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, one more forward fold with our last inhale here. With our next inhale here, nice and slow, we're gonna roll up all the way to standing, nice and centered. We can keep those hands nice and low. I want you to think for a moment about your foot placement here. So maybe you're comfortable with those feet nice and close together in center. Maybe you're comfortable with them right under the hips. Maybe a little bit wider feels good today. We're just gonna move into our mountain pose for a little bit of strength and confidence here. So starting down at those feet, thinking about all 10 toes pressing into the mat, all three corners of those feet, the inner ball of the foot, outer ball of the foot, and the heel press down into that mat, nice and stable and centered here. Moving up to those hips, thinking about the hips and the pelvis being kind of like a bowl of water. We don't want any of that water to tilt out or to spill out as they tilt forward or backward, but just keeping them nice and centered and even. Nice strong core. Thinking about that posture, the shoulders are relaxed down away from the ears, but maybe you pulled the shoulder blades just slightly together in the back. Where the hands come to is totally up to you, totally comfort zone. Sometimes I like to have my palms face forward or face in towards my body. Sometimes forward with the fingers spread feels a little bit better. Sometimes I like to strike a power pose, throw the hands on the hips, open up through the chest. It's how I maybe stop to find my confidence in the middle of the day. I go look at myself in the mirror and I say, you got this, throw the hands on the hips. We're feeling good. Taking a second to find your breath, relaxing the muscles in the face, finding strength through our connection with the floor, through our connection with the earth. If you found those hips, go ahead, release those hands down. With our next big inhale, we're gonna sweep the arms out and up long towards the ceiling. Find that left wrist with that right hand. We're gonna pull up over top just slightly for our lateral stretch here. Big inhale through center, switch those hands. Other side. One more big inhale through center. Exhale, bring the arms down and around. So here you can either press those palms towards each other in the back, or you can interlace those hands behind the hips. Open up through the chest for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Big exhale to release. We're going to do that just one more time, just like that. Big inhale, bring those arms out and up. Nice and long, away from center towards the ceiling. Find that left wrist with that right hand. Come up over top, lateral stretch. Big inhale through center. Switch those hands. Same thing other side. One more big inhale through center. Exhale, bring it down and around. Interlace or press behind the back. Open up through the chest for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and release. All right, we're going to finish our practice today with just one more nice deep breath. So again, leading with those arms. As we inhale, bringing it out and up. Pull the palms together in center. Exhale, pulling them down to heart center. Again, my name is Sarah, and I appreciate you guys joining me today. The light in me honors the light in you. Thank you for practicing with me, bowing as we say, namaste. Thanks, guys. You guys were awesome. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourselves or shoot us an email. I know there might be a couple of different sites joining us today. I recognize a couple of names, but I know a couple are from other places. So feel free to shoot me an email. We have Joho at Joho Fitness. Reach out to whoever sent you the original email with the link on here, or my personal email, Logan at TCFW. And I will be back at 5:30 tonight, so tell your friends and have an awesome rest of your Wednesday.